introduction.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee, your tea, or water, and sit back and let's talk about some astrology, human design, and as you can see, we have a guest this morning. We were having some technical glitches at first because we were going to do the broadcast from, she was going to be at her house and I would be at mine. But then at the last minute, we realized that she didn't have Chrome on her computer and the broadcast only works with Chrome. And so we were, in a hurry. Thank God she only lives about maybe 2 miles? 2 miles from me. So she quickly ran over here. So we have a duo this morning. Yeah. And this, by the way, is Londa Damon. She is a wonderful human being. She's beautifully spiritual, and I'm excited to have her here. Londa, tell the audience a little bit more about yourself because you're so much more than just a lovely human being.
Yeah. How do you explain the multidimensional parts of the self and what we do, and how do we bring what we bring and our gifts we bring to the world and support each other? And that's what we're really here this morning to talk about, is how can we support each other during these difficult times?
Yes.
So I'm a multidimensional healer, a new earth healer. I bring the new medicine to the earth at this time and really supporting people through this powerful transformational time. Hey, good morning, Suzanne.
Good morning, Suzanne.
Hi,
good
Sarah.
morning, Sarah. It's good to see you ladies out there. And I can tell there's others out there, but I just don't know who you are yet exactly. So check in with us and let us know how you're doing. And so this particular configuration, if you will, this morning happened because yesterday Londa and I were into a conversation right after the broadcast, and we both kind of in the same moment, we're thinking how wonderful it would be to be able to have that kind of an exchange occurring while we were on air. And so many times this happens with people that I talk to, and you get into this wonderful dynamic, and then all of a sudden you go, oh God, if only we had been recording. So we're hoping that we're going to kind of get into that same sort of flow this morning. And the question yesterday was about how do we support people going through this, because there's so much going on in the world. And Londa asked me, what the heck is going on? And I'm like, I wish I had the answers, because I'm always looking for the astrology that is the foundation of what it is we're experiencing here. And it's difficult to find and pinpoint exactly what it is. Good morning, Roseanne. It's good to see you out there. And so when we were talking about this, I don't know, I guess I just gave up thinking about it. And that's usually when the magic happens. When you give up thinking about it, something boom can come in. And so I hang up from Londa and I went, oh my gosh, I know exactly what it is now. It is the fact that I had not seen that Uranus and the nodal axis, so the south node and the north node that make up an axis, are coming into a square relationship with one another and forming a T-square, which if you've been on the show in the morning, we've talked about T-squares and how much of a challenge that presents to us. And this isn't just something that's going on in your personal chart, although it is going on in your personal chart. This is a dynamic that's global. And so it isn't just here in the US, it isn't just in Canada or Australia or any other place. It is all around the world that this experience of these energies is happening. So I want to graphically show it to you. So Londa, I'm going to block your face. I'm
That's
sorry.
Okay.
Or maybe it'll be mine that I blocked. There we go. It's mine. Okay, here we go. So this is why I'm always like, I'm backwards. So here's the planet Uranus, and there we go, Uranus right up here. And then the nodes you can see are the long axis that I'm pointing out here. Oh my God, I'm such a dork. I can't figure out how to make this work. Here we go. And so we have the north node in Leo, and we have the south node up here in Aquarius. And if I drew this in correctly, it would have been a T-square, which is a very highly challenging and an aspect that creates a lot of drama and trauma. And the key is to go down to the open space here where you can find balance. And the open space is in the first couple of degrees of Scorpio. And Scorpio is where Jupiter's been. It's already been tearing up the ground and showing us sort of the things that we can be doing. And so let's talk a little bit about the nodes. And then I'm going to turn it over to Londa, who has something really awesome to share with all of us this morning. So as we know, the planet Uranus is a planet that takes us to awakening. It shakes us up, and it has been doing its job to create anxiety and stress, and almost like lighting a fire underneath us. And especially as it was in the last few degrees of Aries, now it's moved off into Taurus. So it's completely giving us a new set of lessons, earthly lessons. Taurus is an earth sign. The nodes have been squaring the planet Uranus from across Leo and Aquarius, which takes us to the heart. Leo represents the heart in astrology, or in the body, excuse me. And Aquarius is an energy that brings us to humanitarianism, to how do we teach each one of us to be a group and to be a human family. And so these energies then are creating a gateway for us. So I wanted to talk a little bit about then, what does the planet, we know planet Uranus rules things like electricity, the unexpected. It rules the higher nervous conditions that we might have, the anxiety that just is running through your body, sizzling through your body. The nodes, the south node is the one that has been conjunct Mars in Aquarius. And as we talked about this over the last few weeks, we had the energy of gate 41, where it was fantasy, and it was about our grounding in what it was, our purpose, what it is we're supposed to be doing while we're here on this planet. Because if it just stayed in the realm of fantasy and was never brought in, then it is an energy that is basically just gone to waste, and it creates a whole lot of issues, not only in your physical body, but you're not playing the part that you came here to play on the earth. The south node then is also, I usually describe it, Londa, like the cup that has all of your talents and your gifts and everything in it that you're supposed to, use and throw out here, in a new way to use it on this planet in this lifetime. But it also holds some really interesting stuff, like our unresolved issues, the traumas and dramas that we've experienced in other lifetimes that we bring with us, that perhaps it could have even been the manner of death from a previous lifetime that was traumatic or dramatic, or where you left things unresolved. And it then becomes karma. And it is also wrapped up in this cup full of stuff that you have with you. And right now in Aquarius, it is creating a sort of PTSD running through the electricity of the planet. And, things like Trump getting elected sent that frisson of electricity through the whole system. It was like being shell-shocked in World War I. They called it shell-shocked. In World War II, it was like, I don't know, the 1,000-year stare or something like that. Good morning, Stephanie. Good to see you, Gail. Good to see you out there too. So we have this energy then of being shell-shocked. The south node, bringing up all of our traumas and traumas from the past. Like, we really want to play with those, right? But it doesn't do that to make us irritated or to create more trauma and drama. The purpose of bringing that up would be for us to heal it, to be able to work with it and let it go, and be able to move forward then to the north node, which is in Leo. And as I was thinking about antidotes, that's a good word, antidotes to some of the energies that are playing on the planet, one thing really jumped out at me, and is that Leo represents fun.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, Leo. She's a Leo. It represents fun and play and pleasure and heart-centeredness and compassion in a way that we don't normally think of as compassion as being playful and of doing the things that bring us joy. And so the antidote is really heart-centered fun. And isn't it interesting that the weekend is going to find the moon in Leo?
Oh, really? That's great. I'm going camping in a few hours.
With your grandkids.
Yes.
And that's going to be fun.
Yes, and I need that.
Yeah. So we have, last thing before I turn this to Londa, we have a void of course moon that begins at 9:18 this morning. So we're about 45 minutes away from it, maybe a little less, or a little longer. God, I can't count. And lasts until a little after midnight. This is West Coast time. And so most of the day, Friday, if you could take off Friday and go camping, hell yeah, go do it. It'll be a great day for you to practice having fun as the moon moves through the last degrees of Cancer before it makes its move a little after midnight West Coast time into Leo. And that means Father's Day is the moon in Leo. So it makes for a great weekend all the way around. And of course, what can you do? Make your father or your husband or the father of your children, make him feel like the king that he is in terms of how he is in relationship to the family and to your children. Have a great time, because that's what it's all about this weekend. There aren't even any really major issues popping up, although I could find them, I suppose, if I wanted to look for them. But this will be a pretty nice weekend. Both the weather
We need a
is
break.
going to show it. Yeah, exactly. We have a break. So fun and play is one antidote, but there has to be more that we can do, because the moon isn't going to stay in Leo but for a couple of days. So what do we do next week when it moves into more serious Virgo or more serious Capricorn later on? So I wanted Londa to come on and talk a little bit about a program that she has availability for you all to help you through these tricky times.
Yeah, we need incredible support during this time. We've had a lot of people come up lately, and there's been a lot of course, we know there's been suicide on the, in the media and everything. And then, but we were aware of a few people in our lives, possibly that, or people that know people that have had suicidal tendencies, depressions, different things. But it's just this incredible energy that's coming up that's meeting some of these things that need to transform. And what can we do to support those people? And then, there's a lot of fears coming up with the parents, with children and stuff. And so I've been asking, what can we do to support these children or our children? And we are the children as well, so, what is out there for us? And of course, I'm a part of a collective, and we're called the Mentor Collective, and we're part of the Sirius Library with the Divine University. And they have all these free programs on the website, and you can go in and sign up for free and become a member for free. And what it has is it has a heart support, a heart portal support.
We want to see your beautiful face.
That you get once a month. There's these incredible recordings that really open you up, that support you in your heart connection and to the connection to the heart portal. And when it does, it brings in this beautiful divine energy around you, and you just call it in, and it's so supportive of the energy that it is actually, it comes like 20 feet around you. It feels the energy, the frequency of your room. It raises the vibration. And so it's just a really incredible program that I believe that everybody would love to sign up for. I would, but let's see what you'd want to do. But there's also another one on there that if you sign up, there's a 12-week program for free as well. And it supports you while you sleep. So the divine energies come in while you sleep, and it helps clear the energies. It makes you feel lighter. It just is supportive while you sleep. And I actually asked about it because during my mother-in-law's, I didn't even know this was part of it. It was something that's just recently has come out on the Divine University that we've posted. And I've asked for support for my mother-in-law that was having night terrors. And they said, well, sign her up for this and everything. And I could see an actual shift in her, why, and things happening around her, and she was in the death dying process, but it was like a whole much more ease and grace and everything. But think about that for us, why we're going through these times. Some people are feeling a little bit more chaotic or nervous energies or anxieties and everything. And, I had a cousin reach out to me, for his daughter. The anxiety was so intense, she's throwing up.
Man.
So, and she's a rescuer, saver type person as well. She rescues dogs, she rescues people, she's out there trying to save, and she needs to stop for a minute and rescue herself. But these are incredible divine energies that will support you while you sleep for 12 weeks. And they just go in and they help clear you. They use technologies from the Divine University. They activate around you. It's just incredible programs. I invite you to go on to the SiriusLibrary.com, and check it out.
I'm going to type this in so everybody can see. So it's
the Serious Library.
If you spell the correctly, it works better. theseriouslibrary.com.
And you'll meet, there's some teachers and everything in there. There's mentors. I'm on there. My divine presence name is Shamira. So it will look different. It won't come up as Londa. But, and we have incredible programs also to assist people, like for a happy heart, peaceful mind, loving soul, those things. And there's other recordings and programs that Koala has on there. But I just invite everybody to go in there and even just receive the free stuff. There's lots of free stuff.
Is that how you spell your
SJAMIRRA? Shamira.
There you go. So it won't say Londa. So if you see that, if that is a J, that isn't an I don't know.
Yep.
So SJAMIRRA. So Shamira. And the program's completely free.
Right. And there's other parts on it that are, programs that you can buy. But when you in your membership page up above, it's always be there. So you can save it there and you go back to it and listen to it and different things. And whatever you need to support your life during these times. And to raise your vibration, raise your energy field, and your health and wellness and wholeness.
To be able to, and share it with the people that you know and that you love. It's very esoteric stuff, and it's the fact that it can work when you're sleeping is amazing. You don't have any effort involved other than allowing this process to work through you.
The teams come in while you're sleeping and work on you. It's kind of like when you go to John of God and you receive these healings and psychic healings and whatever is happening. And then for 24 hours, you go off and you sleep, or you're in your room by yourself for 24 hours. But this happens, the teams come in during that time. Well, the teams come in during this time and support you during the night while you sleep.
And when you say teams, Londa, what do you mean?
By the enlightened masters, the angelic realms, the celestial realms, those kind of realms, those teams come in, whether it's Octurian, Palladians, like the Octurians raise your light quotient, so, and it's like working through the heart portal. When you call in the heart portal, it raises the light quotient in your room, into your space, so as you call in the highest light quotient energy frequency to energy octaves of light, we call it, to get into your space, it just shifts the energy that you're in. And it shifts it so quickly. You just have to ask. I mean, it's
so easy.
It's like ask and you receive, right?
Correct. Mundo. And the energies out there are taking a toll on all of us. I mean, they're really breaking us down. And I think there's something to be said for being broken down, because there are, and I don't mean broken down as in a negative way. I mean, sometimes we are so stubborn and holding on to the things from the past that we really do need to be shaken and stirred. Shaken, not stirred.
Well, right. And these are times that, if we're being broken down, we're detoxing old patterns. We're working through thoughts and and addictions, and it was just like you're going through a detox, a cleansing, a purification. This is times where we're going to meet parts of ourselves that we can bring love and compassion to and forgiveness to, and hold ourselves, nurture ourselves, And
it's really very important. So Suzanne Fulmer, who we see here almost every morning. I didn't see you yesterday, Suzanne, but I know you must be out there. Shared with me last week, we were talking about a psychological, after that last author was on my show, she told us about the shadow, and she was talking about Jungian archetypes. And so she mentioned something about a psychological report that she had put in her closet, remember? She brought it out, and after something happened, and she was like, oh my God, it was right there in this report. And so Suzanne went looking for the psychological report. So I want to be able to share that with you, because I did mine yesterday. I did mine yesterday, and then I went to Londa to help me with my neck and my shoulder because it created a furor in my system, but only because I didn't want to believe what I was reading. God, talk about having to have compassion for oneself, because this really goes deep. And I don't know, as an astrologer, I don't know where this report came off with this stuff. I really don't. I could guess, but I don't know for sure. And that's probably a good thing, because then I could rationalize it, rationalize it away. So I wanted to share with you that link because it is fabulous. It is free. And the problem is you can't copy and paste the report. I ended up having to print it. And look at the print. Like, it's so small, I'm going to need a magnifying glass. Right? I could make it bigger on my screen, but the only way to get it without paying for it was to print it, and it printed off in this little tiny print. So I would say it is a very good start. If you aren't, I think we all have an idea of where our shadow is or where it plays its part in our lives. But if you want to know for sure, I'm going to put this up here on the screen. And Londa, when you get home next week, you should do this too, because hold on, I got to change the screen for 1 minute. It was astrologyonline.edu. So astrology, www.astrologyonline.eu, which is a weird...
EU?
No, EU.
Okay.
EU. Ooh.
Okay.
Make sure. .eu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said EDU. So.
No. But that would make sense, an EDU. So EU. And when you get to the website, you're going to see a little tab at the top that says reports. Click on that. Then you're going to go to the psychological report, and it's going to bring up 3 different potential psychological reports. Click on the first one, and the other one is like for children, and I think another one is for a composite. So if you want a psychological profile for you and your husband or your friend or your spouse or boyfriend, whatever, you can do that. But for sure, get one for you. And like I said, you can't print it unless you pay to be a member of their site, which really wasn't that much money. It was like $20 or $12 European money. What is that? I don't know, 15. It's I don't know what it is. American.
Pretty reasonable, really.
Yeah, it is pretty reasonable. But that's a monthly fee. So you would be a member, but you don't have to be a member. I'm getting nothing out of this. So I don't care if you become a member or not. Just use the resource to get your psychological profile, because in that it's going to tell you where your shadow is. It is going to tell you some things that you really may not want to know about yourself, but in the end, you really do want to know, right? You really do want to know. And then you need to treat yourself with love and compassion.
Or reach out to somebody.
Or reach out to somebody.
I need just a little kicker here.
A little kicker. Yes, I'm holding all of this energy in my arm and my shoulder and my neck. It's amazing. So that's a great resource, a great starting place, right? Because I can't reach out and do readings for everybody. And actually, you know what? I don't do a psychological profile. When I'm doing a reading, I'm looking at the planets, I'm looking at your human design, I'm looking at what makes you tick in terms of how to live an authentic life. I do touch on the shadow at times, especially the Liliths and that type of thing. But this is deeper. This is looking at it from a completely psychological standpoint. And in that case, you get to go deep. And the only thing is it doesn't tell you like, oh, this is because Saturn is in the 7th house and you're, conjunct Jupiter or whatever it is. It doesn't tell you that. It just tells you, it just reads you like a book.
It's great information. And I just want to share one other thing we do on this, on the Sirius Library as mentors. We offer these happy hearts, peaceful mind, loving soul things. And what I've been working on a gal from New York and a few other people, and it's just been launched. It's just recently been launched. But what we do is we go in and we scan the chakras for the unconscious and the conscious burdens that are preventing somebody from accessing their gifts or their freedom in life, or their intimacy, or whatever it is, whatever is held in that chakra. And we go through and we're asked if they're ready to release these burdens and if they're ready to receive divine support, and the teams bring in this technology called the Tzolk'in wheel, and the Tzolk'in wheel goes in and clears it and brings it back to the original divine essence of that being. And I can actually tell you that the lady that had called me, she was so depressed. And I thought, wow, okay, she called me for a reason. We're doing this session. It's going to be powerful. And I didn't realize how powerful it was. The next time I talked to her, I didn't think I was talking to the same woman.
Wow.
You know, it was totally amazing. So these programs and these sessions are so powerful that if you know somebody that needs assistance or just help, you know, go in and look at it and see if your heart resonates with it, and if you're inspired and you're pulsed from the heart to sign up or receive one of those divine assistant programs. And, you know, like I said, some of them are free, some of them are, but the free ones are really powerful. The recordings, the monthly recordings, and you can sit in your own time and space, you know, whatever. Another thing that I think is really powerful right now is the things that are coming up over the next couple of months with the new supermoons that are, you know, activating things within us. Is it is summertime here in the States. I know in Australia it's winter, but we can get out in nature. We can go for a walk. We can clear our mind by, you know, doing certain things. You know, there's all kinds of things, and just sit and receive what is in the highest for me at this time to do, you know, to assist me. What do I need?
Yeah.
And ask.
It's awesome stuff that we can do. We have lots of tools at our own disposal. Unfortunately for us, I think sometimes we get into that survivor mode, survival, or we, you know, somehow we want to shut off the emotional feeling that that's being triggered.
Avoid it. And these are things we can do. We push it aside. We don't want to do it. But, you know, if we want to really evolve, if we really want to awaken, if we really want to become enlightened, you know, we welcome it in.
Yeah.
You know?
And I know that this isn't done. This isn't like today is the last day that this happens for us. Not at all.
Lifetime.
It is a lifetime. It's very keen right now. It's like we're coming to this point. I feel like we're being, I've said it before, pushed through the eye of a needle, right? Where, you know, like life is pushing us somewhere, and it's pushing us to an evolution, probably at a pace faster than ever has happened on this planet. And in that, of course, then we also have to be responsible for our own well-being, for our own health, for our own evolution.
You hit it on the nail.
Right? We have to be responsible for it here first in order to see it reflected back to us in that outer world.
Exactly.
So the South Node and the North Node are representing that for us right now. And remember, I think I've told you guys this many times, the nodes back into a sign. You know, instead of going from 0 degrees up to 30 or 29 and then moving into the next sign, they come in through the back door and then they move as if they were retrograde, which they are always in retrograde motion going this way. And so they are now sitting at about 6 degrees. Let's see, today the nodes are sitting at 6 degrees of Leo and Aquarius. Uranus is at 1 degree of Taurus. And so what you see here is that they're clicking into a closer and closer relationship because they're backing. They're going from 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, right? And a configuration like this is always most powerful as it's coming into contact, and then it hits the contact and breaks the energy and then moves on. I'm not sure that these ever get to, they will get to exact somewhere along the line here. And then they are moving out of Leo and Aquarius, and we begin Cancer Capricorn lessons. So if you want to think about it this way, right now we have this ability to get to our heart, the heart of our issues.
Oh, wow, okay.
And if we don't, when the nodes make that next move to Cancer and Capricorn, it is going to be pinging. It's like taking crap and throwing it at a fan and just watching it spread everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
Right? Because Cancer and Capricorn are the angles, the angles in a chart, these bold lines that create the ascendant, the descendant, the midheaven over here, and the bottom one, which is called the IC.
So what you're saying right now is perfect time to go into the heart and receive and look at this, because we're being more supported then at this time to do that.
I think it's easier right now.
Okay. We like ease and grace.
We like ease and grace. And I think a program like that, which Londa is talking about, prepares us for what's likely going to be a more intense time as we get into November, when the nodes shift. And, you know, and I don't say this to be mean or to be ugly, but you know what? It's going to be a shitstorm if you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
And because the planets that are in Capricorn are Saturn and Pluto. And
so, but if we raise our vibration and we build our core light energy and we get a really, you know, a solid more connection, we can weather these storms.
Absolutely.
Better. Right?
Absolutely. And the more that you do for yourself, then of course it ripples out around you and helps your family, helps your community.
And sometimes we become that, like lately I become that, that pillar of light that's hold and grounded and stabilized to support others around me. You know, I become the witness and not being activated and engaged into it because, you know, I'm building that strength within me to be able to support others. You know, for those that don't know, my mother-in-law just recently died. So of course, you know how that brings up family stuff that you need to look at. And when we can look at it and think, you know, oh my gosh, I can sit back and watch so amazing things happening within the family that needed for healing. You know, it's a time for healing. So, you know, being able to be in that and not engaged or get triggered into that has been really powerful. But it's been because I've built my spiritual practice and I'm still building. Not that sometimes I didn't get, you know, but I can pull myself back and go, oh, wait a minute, I got to look at that differently, you know?
Right. So, it's about taking responsibility. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is being responsible for your own spiritual well-being and your own healing on the things that are triggering you throughout your life.
But I think that we're being gently guided, pushed to do that, to step up, to take care of responsibility, be responsible for ourselves, you know.
Gently?
I mean, you know, I think they are pushing us strongly, I guess. I should change my my views about that. But you know, we can either go into chaos or we can say, how can I get assistance here? And
yeah, because part of responsibility is reaction or action. And we talk a lot about that here, is about whether you're going to let something in the outer world trigger you into a reaction, or are you going to take a moment to breathe, remember your spiritual practice, and take an action from a responsible but a conscious place. That's the key, right? I mean, the world is always going to show us some kind of traumas or dramas or stuff going on. There's always going to be that kind of thing. And that's a part of our being human. It's the way that we respond to that is the key, right? And if we keep responding from fear or reactionary type energies, then we're keeping that alive on the planet. But if we can breathe our way through it and greet it with an open heart, then we're also creating the ease of that transition here on the planet.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's all up to us. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the gates energy, the gate in human design or in gene keys that this T-square is happening across. You know, of course, we know that Uranus has been sitting at gate 3. We talked about that months ago, where the lower expression of that energy is chaos. And we can see that. That's everywhere around us, chaos. The shadow is a chaos. But the gift takes us up through innovation, where we can discover new technologies, new ways of behavior, new ways of dealing with the world, and ultimately to innocence. What a word.
I love innocence and wonder.
Isn't that an
That's
amazing
my
word?
new thing. I want to do everything with innocence and wonder.
Well, that is what we're after here while Uranus is sitting at gate 3. Now, Uranus retrogrades as we get into the summer. So it's going to backward into gate 27, which was a gate that we were learning about selflessness versus selfishness. And so again, we get a message that it is about our path of service in the world. What are we here? How are we supposed to take all of these experiences, these gifts and these talents, and how are we supposed to pour them out into the world in our own unique way, our own unique path of service? So for the foreseeable future, that's what Uranus is triggering in us. Innocence, selflessness, right? And let's look at the nodes, because they are in a very interesting place too. The South Node, this cup, has been sitting at fantasy, right? Gate 41, fantasy, anticipation, and emanation. So remember, we talked about that word just a few weeks ago, 2 weeks, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe now. Time flies when we're having fun. And it was all about how much more light are we going to allow into our DNA. And we do that when we actually take our dreams and our fantasies and we put them into concrete form and we move them into reality, right? We actually create something from the fantasy. Otherwise, we're just kind of doomed to escapism and just keep those things floating around and never really make anything of what it is that we've been dreaming of. And so it is about bringing that into play. And then the nodes, as they make their next click before they move out into Cancer and Capricorn, sit at the gate 60, this gate of justice being the highest expression, and not justice like you think of a law and a moral kind of code that brings justice. It is born out of limitation, and it is a gift of realism. So we are going to have to get our, as you say, our big girl panties on.
I love that.
And we're going to have to really live a real life, like, blending the spiritual with the physical world. You sit here on planet Earth with all of these spiritual gifts that you're bringing in, whether it's a gift of being in the garden and growing beautiful flowers, or whether it's astrology or it's healing the physical body. It doesn't really matter. Whatever your role is, it has to be done with light and grounding it here onto the planet. And the North Node, we talked about just last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, where it's moved into the gate 31, which is about leadership. And we talked about leadership being something that it's humble leadership, right? You do this with humility. And it's funny that this is what shows up in Leo, which is a sign that we know of as arrogant at times. And the lowest expression
I have that one.
is arrogance, right? Arrogance. Interesting. That's the shadow. But because we're learning to spend 90% of our time in the gift and in the Siddhic frequency, then we're looking at leadership and humility. And when that changes later on, I want to say it changes in September, and that'll be the last time it's in the gate it is in now. It moves into an energy of distraction. Like the next shiny object. I don't know exactly how that's going to play out, but we'll be looking at this more. And the highest expression of this gate that it will move into is intoxication.
Oh,
and I didn't get an opportunity to really look at what that means. Maybe just intoxicated with life and no longer experiencing the escapism, but living, in that moment.
Being in presence.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting word for us to explore as we get into later in the summer, I think.
Present in our moment.
And the gift in it is enrichment. Sometimes the words in these, from the shadow to the gift, really don't make sense. But then when you really get into the contemplation of that energy, it does. It makes perfect sense. Right now, I haven't contemplated this much. I just wrote this out this morning. So maybe after contemplating this energy, I'll have some kind of aha about what that will mean for all of us. But in the meantime, we can just kind of sit with this energy. And one of the other gifts that we have available to us is this going deeper, right? Looking into that shadow. My friend Roseanne out here, very good at that. A lot of you out there are really good at looking into the depths and the shadow. And this is about intuitively transforming and transmuting possibly these shadows from your psychology profile and becoming your shiny spiritual self. We like that.
You got any questions?
Let's see. So happy we finally get to meet Londa. That's what Suzanne says. Sarah says, I love it. Hold on here. I'm not sure if I'm even seeing everybody's comments. Does anybody have a question out there? Gail says, this makes so much sense right now, the energy I'm feeling. And Stephanie Compton says, good morning. Good morning, Roseanne. We said good morning to everybody, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you have any questions, pop them in here and we can answer them through Facebook or here in the chat. Any last words that you want to say to everybody before we move? I don't know. Time flies.
Time flies when we're having fun.
I know. And she's getting ready to go camping, so I'm mindful of her time.
And next week I have a retreat. I have 28 people coming in from around the globe for a healing retreat.
Oh, yeah. So tell us about that. What's going on there?
So we're working, Kuala Asrama Phoenix is coming in, and this is our 7th year here in Maple Falls up at Mount Baker. And it's our final year because she had a contract with the masters to bring in these healing programs and protocols and different things. And we do activations and we work with different things. And this year we're working with the nervous system and finding switches within the body that could support the nervous systems and different things like that. So, yeah. And then when we're complete, we're going to bring all the program together and put it on the series library. Wow. And we'll be teaching it. And we'll be transcribing and bringing the protocols together. And we'll be making a universal healing system out of all these years. So it's pretty exciting to bring this to the planet to support us. But, we're looking out that, it'll be a year or so before we get all that pulled together. 7 years worth of stuff. Yeah. Right? Well, actually, I think it's 8 years worth of stuff. So we've been 7 years up at Maple Falls. Our first one was down in Brazil in John of God Portal. We brought in advanced healing for stages of diseases, to support people and souls working through their soul healings and stuff. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Mount Baker is a beautiful volcanic peak here. Very powerful portal. I could see it right out here if there weren't trees. Sometimes I can see it. It's a beautiful mountain and it's very sacred. Has a lot of really high spiritual energy around it. Actually, I've had people that have amazing spiritual awakenings in our area, and they say that it's more powerful than Sedona, but it's our little secret. Don't tell anybody. Okay. There's, but we're on that, like Mount Shasta's down there is very powerful. We're up here. We've got Shasta, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, Mount Rainier, Mount Baker. Yeah. And lots of them in between. This whole chain is very, very powerful. High peaks that are just gorgeous and highly spiritual. You can't even go near that mountain without feeling it. I mean, it's really powerful. And, I can sometimes just stare at it. I'll take pictures of it just for. Oh, no. And I've lived everywhere I've lived, which I've only lived in 2 places, but it's like Mount Baker's always been right in there. In view. Yeah. In view. It's a beautiful place. Is there room in the retreat for more people? No, actually we've had closed the retreat now. Well, maybe another time. when I start to teach the programs, then we'll be very good. Very good. Yeah. All right. So let's take a look. Somebody says that's amazing. Sarah says that's amazing. No questions coming out at us. So I guess that is it for us. Remember, this is a weekend with the moon in Leo. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, even though we're all women, it seems like, that come here. But we do have men that do listen. So, all right. But happy Father's Day and just have a stellar weekend. We love you guys. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much, Londa, for being here with me. Thank you for having me.